rejoining our hero on Scheria. He has washed up on shore, made his connection with the king and queen, secured his status as a guest friend, and now he gets to enter into the next step of his recovery. We're really, in these books, rebuilding the hero. We saw in 5 him acquiring the very basics that he needed to escape from Ojigya and have his own autonomy again. In book 6, he pieces together the very rudimentary, his ability to speak, and he gets some clothes on his back, makes his way into the center of the palace, gets himself a secured spot in this new city. Now he's got to slowly rebuild his strength, and pivotal to that is going to be food. He's got to eat some things, and then also we see him start to perform in these physical games. The games play a role in book 8 as Odysseus is rebuilding himself and rebuilding his hero-ness. Strength is an important thing of what it is to be a hero. We also get in this exhibition of Odysseus' strength through the games, there are a few other grace notes that show themselves as we're learning what it is that makes Odysseus, someone so grand as he is. We have a exhibition and a couple of subtle points of some extremely savvy social instincts that are pretty clearly something to be that are useful for him and that are also something difficult to do, a little bit of a high wire act, but Odysseus shows himself extremely skilled at them. For example, near the end of book 7, Odysseus shows us how alliances work. You'll recall that he made this alliance with Nausicaa, and it's been very valuable to him. After he makes his contact with Queen Arete, you'll notice a kind of strange back and forth between Alcinous, the king, and Odysseus. Alcinous is ready to kind of scold his daughter because Nausicaa has allowed Odysseus to come into the palace unaccompanied. He says, now who would do that? Why wouldn't she accompany you as a stranger into this city? That's real hospitality. She should be doing that. So he's hinting that he's a little disgruntled with his daughter at not displaying the kind of hospitality that we know is so important in this part of the story. Odysseus right away jumps in on Nausicaa's side and makes up a lie. He tells Alcinous right back to him after he makes that comment that no. She offered to bring me to town, but I insisted and I said I wanted to go alone. I wasn't sure that there might be people who talked funny about the two of us, me and a young girl walking in, and you might have disapproved. So I insisted that I go in alone. Well, that's of course a lie, right? Nausicaa said, listen, I don't want to take you in there because people are going to chatter and there's going to be a lot of gossip going on about me walking with a strange man, so don't do that. Odysseus now is protecting the one that protected him. That white lie is only going to secure his position with Nausicaa, and it does him no harm with respect to anything else. So it's an automatic kind of increment of gain in his closeness with Nausicaa and his back and forth with her, securing that relationship. We also see in the contests, such as they happen in book 8, that Odysseus knows full well what to do in sometimes complex social interactions where conflict arises. Remember the young bucks, the prince whose name Fagles accurately translates as Broad Sea. In book 8, it's on pages 196 and 97. Broad Sea comes over and starts taunting Odysseus. Now, taunts are kind of standard stuff for heroes, taunts and epithets. You take the stuffing out of your enemy and call them nasty names. But when you do, you're being aggressive and getting in that person's face. That person, if they're a real hero, is going to come right back at you. Odysseus is not quite ready to do that. You'll see that there's some teasing that happens early on, and he lets it go. But then on page 196, 97, when Broadsea comes and really gets into his face, Odysseus draws a firm line. And when he does, he steps up and throws the discus farther than anyone had ever seen. So Odysseus knows when to draw a line. He also knows how to enforce that line. Those are tricky things. Those are really hard to do. And if you're putting together your list of Leadership 101, this would be one of the ones to toss into the hopper. When to give ground and be flexible, and when it's necessary to draw a line. And when you have to draw a line, you have to draw it with seriousness. You have to be businesslike about it and not back down. So Odysseus goes ahead and does that. He also shows later in Book 8, page 204 in Fagel's translation, that he knows when it's right to make up. After the conflict has happened with Broadsea and he's shown himself to be worthy of respect, and Broadsea does respect him, when Broadsea comes back to offer amends and offers him the sword to become friends, Odysseus takes that right back and is gracious about accepting the gift and is ready to be friends with this person that had basically insulted him before. So he knows not only when to draw a line, but also when to make up. So we're seeing him piece together different aspects of his hero-ness, and from what we've seen so far in what makes up a hero, we can start to sketch in a kind of rough definition, or at least a rough set of qualities, characteristics, and attributes that we see in heroes. First of all, they suffer. Odysseus suffers tremendously. We're only at the very beginning of the descriptions of his suffering. They're pretty hair-curling already, but wait till we get to books 9 through 12. The hero also endures. So these difficult situations don't only cause the hero pain, but the hero bears up under the pain and endures. A hero is going to be intelligent. Is going to be able to use their mind to figure the best course of action in any situation. Hero will also be a great craftsman. Remember Odysseus building his boats. He's good at sailing. He's good at discus throwing. He's just good at things. He's good at crafts. Very skilled person. A hero is also going to be maybe crafty. Someone who's a little sneaky. Odysseus is a big liar. He's lied a tremendous amount already. It's always been to a purpose. He doesn't just lie willy-nilly, but he does lie. This craftiness is something that we're going to see him exhibiting. A hero clearly gains knowledge through experience. It's an experiential kind of knowledge that we see our hero gaining, especially through travel. But this knowledge is much more than just data. Yes, data is important. Odysseus needs to learn the details of where he's going, but his living through the experience always is something that gains an additional kind of knowledge for him, something extraordinarily valuable. A hero is something you can't just Google it. You can't just kind of get to know hero-ness and then just once you do, you got it. That's not it. It's not easy. It's something that it's hard won, and it has to be won through the knowledge that only comes through experience. A hero makes alliances. Odysseus is good at drawing up those connections. A hero also clearly has strength. That's being put together, reassembled in Book 8. A hero also, sadly for you aspiring businessmen and businesswomen out there, page 198 in Fagel's translation in Book 8, a hero is not a merchant. When they're insulting Odysseus, those young bucks, and taking the stuffing out of him, they tease him and call him, "You must be some kind of a merchant or something," and Odysseus is greatly offended by that. So apparently that's not the way forward. You've got to be better equipped to do stuff on the battlefield. That's typically where the hero shows his strength. So we've got to know Odysseus through this interactions that he's had so far, his experience on Ogygia, experience with Nausicaa and with the Phaeacians. But who is he really? Remember, by the end of Book 8, he's still nameless. We don't even know who he is. We've not heard his name. It's related to us through Homer's narrative, but looking at him through the eyes of the Phaeacians, he is still anonymous. What's his identity? Trying to figure that out is a tricky business. We've watched him piece together some pieces of it through in 5 and forward, but in Book 8, there's a statement from Alcinous' mouth that talks about now, it's time for us to get to know you, Odysseus, and who you are. We need to know your identity. And when he does make this statement, we get a really clear definition about what it is that these ancient Greeks in mythic times thought an identity was all about. So let's have a look at this passage at the end of Book 8 where Alcinous, the king, is talking directly to Odysseus. "So don't be crafty now, my friend. Don't hide the truth I'm after. Fair is fair. Speak out. Come, tell us the name they call you there at home. Your mother, father, townsmen, neighbors, roundabout. Surely no man in the world is nameless, all told, born high, born low. As soon as he sees the light, his parents always name him once he's born. And tell me your land, your people, your city too. So our ships can sail you home. Their wits will speed them there." And then he goes on jumping a little bit ahead in the text, but come, my friend, tell us your story now and tell it truly. Where have your rovings forced you? What lands of men have you seen? What sturdy towns? What men themselves? Who were wild, savage, lawless? Who were friendly to strangers, God-fearing men? Tell me. So, in order to understand who Odysseus is, we've got to know a few things. Definitely we need to know his name. We need also to know his parents' name, that is his lineage. We need to know his land, where he's from, the name of his city and his town and what it's like. So name, lineage, the land you're from, and then finally this last piece, we need also to know your past. We need to know your own history. These are the pieces that are going to make up a heroic identity. And Odysseus, in order to plug us into the rest of himself, he's going to have to take over and give us some more details about what this background is all about. Odysseus is about to launch in books 9 through 12, take over the narrative as a whole, and give us his own full story about where he's been.